Our subject in our story is going to be Stranger Things from the series from Netflix, and on there our topic is going to be Eleven. Eleven is a story. Pretty much, she's a CIA experiment. She's taken from her parents, which is her name's Terry Ives, and then once she's taken, she has to trust only one person, one man who she calls her papa, who she, like I said, she is experimented on. They do all these studies. They put her in water. She ends up getting powers of like telekinesis, and she ends up running away. She finds some friends. First, she finds a restaurant owner. He tries to figure out who she is, what she's doing there, and she ends up figuring out that she. From there, we find out she's a government subject that's been taken away. From there, the government comes in, shoots the guy from the restaurant, and takes Eleven. Eleven leaves. Eleven finds herself pretty much in the story with 3 kids. Those 3 young kids don't know who she is, and so then that kind of starts her journey as far as like what they do, because their friends have lost their friend, Will. Will has been taken in by, they don't know by what or whom. And then as the story portrays, we start finding out what's happening to Will. With her help, they end up being able to find her.
So we found some, when we first started, when we were looking at sources, we found 2 that made sense at first, but as we started looking into it, didn't relate to our subject as well as we thought. And those were MK Ultra and the Roswell incident. They both have government involved in them, have the government involved, but they don't necessarily have an obvious hero or a hero at all. So that's why we couldn't rule those into our subjects in the story. The thesis we came up with for our story is that heroes come in all shapes and sizes. They don't necessarily have to wear a cape. It can be anyone, just any civilian on the street, or it could be Superman wearing the cape. It could be anyone. There are many films that relate to this story. One of the films that I found was E.T., a movie back from the 1980s. One of the ways it relates is that there's 2 people not from the same society that come in and find a group of friends that they gain trust from each other. When they started out as complete strangers, they come together and work as a team to achieve their goals. Another way is that they, without knowing much about the person, they welcome them into their home, and they believe that their superpowers will be used for good instead of evil. And in the end, both stories come out with the alien and the kids coming together and achieving their goals.
Okay, so another one of our sources that I have found is a movie from the early 2000s named Lilo and Stitch. That movie I find really similar to Eleven and Mike, and in the movie Lilo and Stitch. Stitch, he was an alien. Also, he was a test subject, and the name that was given to him is Experiment 626. So it's really similar to in Stranger Things. Eleven, we don't know her real name yet, but from what we see in the series, she has the number 11 tattooed on her, so that's what we call her by. So that those 2 are very similar.
And another one of our sources that we found was going to be Matilda. It's a really great movie. She has telekinesis, just like Eleven does. We can be able to move things with their mind. Now she doesn't just get telekinesis just because, or she was an experiment. She got her telekinesis out of anger. Her parents actually didn't treat her like a loving child should be treated. Her dad used to tell her things like, I'm big, you're little, I'm smart, you're dumb, and there's nothing you can do about it. Things like that that he would tell her to do, it just all relates to the fact that she built up this anger. She wanted to go to school, she ended up going to school, and she faced another conflict. The principal was treating the kids very mean, and after that, she was able to use all of her powers to pretty much get to help her teacher. She was able to help the school, and she helped her life. So she used all of her telekinesis for good to help, to do good. So she's very tiny, but she did a lot. Just like our hero in the story 11, she's very tiny, but she did a lot. She had a big heart.
Some of the questions that we had, or we thought that was interesting, or what questions that we just were curious about. One of the questions is what she actually was, or is, what she actually is. We found out that she is a test subject. She was tested on, by the CIA and the government, very secretively. So that's what we found out about her. And also our other question that we had was, what is the underworld? That we don't know yet, but there will be a season 2 coming to let us know.
I'm Matt.
Hi, I'm Christina.
I'm Rosa.